Welcome back to Lost for Words with Lori. It is December 23rd. It is 10:40 a.m. and Christmas is upon us. Wow. This year went really fast, didn't it? So yeah, tomorrow, Christmas Eve. So if you're one of those people who follows that path, Merry Christmas to you. Joyous Yuletide, Blessed Solstice yesterday and the day before. To all of you, I hope you have a very safe one. And I just thought I would get back to what I do best, and that is enlighten all of you with what I think. Not that a whole lot of you care, but it seems that some of you might. And I guess I want to weigh in on something else that's been I've been thinking about as of late. Had a great time talking with Pete, and started with the Grieving for Dummies podcast, which I'm very excited and anxious to get going on, breaking down all 5 stages of grief. And I'm very much looking forward to how we handle and tackle that, and hopefully enlighten ourselves and maybe some other people, and find out what people think about handling all of those things. So that was a really wonderful thing. It made me feel really good to talk about some of those things, and it really opened the door for conversations with a lot of other people. And so speaking of that, I've been doing this podcast. Again, Toby and I did this for many years, doing the radio show and interviewing musicians, and then we decided we were going to do some podcasting and talk about some subjects. And it started out as talking about subjects that had to do with the music industry and how that related to us. And it was really cool. And then, of course, after Toby passed, I decided that I would use this platform as a way to kind of get some things off of my chest, and deal with some of the things that bother me. So it's more of a platform for me emotionally, I guess, to kind of, vent maybe, and hopefully figure out some things, and maybe in the process help other people cope and maybe deal with some of their things too. But in the process of that, I've got a handful of podcasts of things that I've spoken about, and yeah, some of it is pretty raw, and some of it is pretty telling about some of the drama and the things that go on in toxic cesspool world, because that's my life right now, and that's what I'm dealing with. And I know a lot of people don't like that. I don't really care. You guys got your platform, I got mine, and that's great. But what I didn't really expect, because most people on social media platforms, especially on YouTube, will only go in and listen to the first 5 minutes of something and then comment and like and be supportive, which is fine. I like the sound of my own voice. Nobody else really has to care what I have to say. But once in a great while, somebody will listen to the whole thing, and maybe the light bulb will go off, and they will go, this made them think about something. And I don't care whether or not anybody believes me or agrees with me. As a matter of fact, I would encourage people who didn't agree with me to comment or to come to me and say, I was really interested in what you had to say, but I don't agree with you, and this is why. This is how we have dialogue. This is how we open up conversations. This is how we have meaningful discussions about things and learn to resolve conflicts and agree to disagree on many things. And most people don't want to do that. They just want to talk and not listen to what other people are feeling or thinking. And I discovered that somebody listened to one of my podcasts and discovered that they wanted to talk to me about some things. And I reached back out and said, hey, let's have a conversation and talk about things. And it made me think about forgiveness. Now, the podcast they listened to was about accountability. And if you haven't listened to it, feel free, go back and listen to it and see what you think about it. And if you don't care, that's fine too. But being accountable for one's actions and the consequences that entail that. And that podcast was about people being allowed to be human and make mistakes and be accountable for those mistakes and to apologize. And today I wanted to talk about forgiveness. I want to talk about people being able to apologize for their actions and be accountable, and how that translates to me and what I think about that. And I've been preaching boundaries and expectations for the last month or two since Toby passed away, but it's been a big game changer in my life for a lot of reasons, because before I changed my life and moved 1,200 miles away to start a new life that wasn't toxic, I had to establish new boundaries and new expectations in my new world, with new friends, with a new job, with a new man who would, potentially eventually become my husband. And you have to establish those things, and you have to figure out where your lines are personally about what is acceptable with your relationships, with people, with everybody. And once you've established those, then you are accountable yourself to maintain those and to hold people accountable for not stepping over them. And when they do, you have to call them out and say that's not acceptable. And then the choice is theirs. They have to make the choice as to how they handle that. And the choices are very simple in my world. If I make a mistake, and somebody says that's not cool or that's not acceptable, then I have to either own it, yes, I did said thing, and apologize. And apologizing doesn't mean you just say sorry and then you get to move on. It means that you have to actively think about what you did and make a conscious effort to not make that behavior again and not make those choices again, so that you can prove with your actions that your apology was sincere. And then the other person has a choice whether or not they're going to A, trust you again, B, accept your apology, and C, choose to continue that friendship or that relationship with new boundaries and new expectations based on rebuilding trust and rebuilding a friendship, or for whatever that's worth. And it made me think that I'm going to have a conversation with somebody who we may or may not have had a falling out or had a disagreement, and I owe them that same courtesy and grace to hear what they have to say and have that open dialogue. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay, but it would make me a hypocrite and a really poor human to not at least listen to what they have to say. And they say that forgiveness isn't for the person who did the action, but it's more about yourself and being able to move on. And I agree to that to a certain point. Again, the crime has to fit, or the punishment, I guess, or the consequence, I should say. Shouldn't be a punishment, but the consequence has to fit what it is that was done. And that's important. Apologies are all fine and done and dandy, but if people continue the behavior after the fact, then that's a boundary that they can't cross, and you have to be very clear about that expectation. But to me, the best apology has always been changed behavior, because with that changed behavior comes trust. And without trust, there's no foundation for relationships, for friendship, for anything. And then we talk about what kind of behaviors are forgivable and what isn't. I mean, we're not children. We're not on the playground. We're not throwing juice boxes. We are adults. And in the adult world, obviously, heinous crimes are punishable by law, and you go to jail for those things. And that's the way the world works, right? But when we talk about relationships and friendships, then things get really mucky and gray and dirty. And some people have a threshold of forgiveness for things where others would not. And some people, you shit on me once and fuck you, and the game's over and I will never speak to you again, and they will hold grudges forever. And some people have a different idea of what that means. Some people, you fuck over one of your friends, they refuse to have anything to do with you. And to be fair, I get that, because from my perspective, if you're willing to be an asshole to other people, even though you've been nice to me, that doesn't mean that you're not going to turn around and do that to me as well. So again, you guilt by association is a very real thing. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but if you lie with dogs, you will get fleas, and I choose to not associate with those types of people. But I also don't sit around and let the people that I do trust and care about dictate my loyalties and my friendships and draw lines in the sand by talking garbage about other people and just take that for face value. A prime example of that would be in toxic cesspool world, the cool kids tables and the cliques that have formed in lots of these groups and in lots of these cultures. And that's fine. I get it. People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And they also want to trust people. And when there's a lot of bootlickers and there's a lot of drama shit starters running around creating arson and fires and starting shit amongst people that don't deserve it, of course you're going to circle close and want to take care of your people. And that creates the drama and the dissension amongst these groups of people that, in all reality, should really be talking to each other and getting along. And instead, it puts a whole lot of mistrust there. So it's difficult when you want to like other people because there are a lot of good people out there. But because somebody else had a falling out with somebody else 6 months ago and they made a mistake, now everybody is trying to still choose sides, and it's unfortunate because then we do not get the opportunity to make acquaintances with some people who have knowledge or who are smart or are really funny or who have a great sense of humor or who like the same things that I do, whether it's music or whatever. And I lose out on that friendship only because there was drama with somebody that I'm really close to or I'm good friends with. And that's unfortunate because now we all lose. I don't get to be friends with those people because I'm friends with somebody else. And then more drama. And at what point do we forgive people for who they know and accept them for what they are and accept that their character is such that you recognize that they used to make mistakes? We all do. We're all human. And yeah, we might have, or I may have been involved or got caught up in somebody else's trauma. But my actions or someone else's actions have proven that they're trying and that they're learning and that they're accountable and that they've apologized for those things and that they aren't participating in that drama anymore. And they're choosing that. And at what point do we as a community express that to people and teach them the way to act like adults and stop jumping to conclusions and let people be responsible for their behavior, and that just because they're our friends, we don't have to run around defending them and putting out fires for everybody and jumping to defense and circling the wagons and attacking with that mob mentality of, well, you dissed my friend and now I have to diss you. It doesn't work like that in the real world. When adults have conflicts that are personal, one-on-one, then we go to each other and say, listen, I got a problem here. And let's talk about it. What's the underlying reason that you're doing this? And how can we resolve it? And if we can, great. And if we can't, well, then maybe we just agree to disagree and we just don't hang out and we just be civil and we just be okay with not being super close. And I don't think there's a problem with that. But everybody else does because unfortunately everybody's so worried about their position and what that means to them and who's better than everyone else. A wise person showed me some very true colors in saying, you know what? This person does better than I do, and good on them. And I went, wow, that's maturity right there. And they're still friends, and they still encourage them, and they still support them, and they're not jealous. They say, well, if I want to be where that person is, then I need to step up my game. I need to create content that people want to watch. I need to do that thing too. But does that mean I'm going to be an asshole and treat them like garbage just because they passed me? They started at the same place. So you all start at the bottom. But they didn't. And I went, wow, that's a really cool cat. That's a cool character that speaks volumes about them as a person who says, you know what, this is my gig. And if I want to succeed, I have to work hard, not trash other people. And I thought, well, that's pretty insightful. And I really learned a lot by watching that interaction. It gives me a great deal of respect to see other people understanding that adults can resolve conflicts and be okay with watching other people succeed and go, oh, well, that works for them. Maybe they'll talk to me. Maybe they'll give me some tips. Maybe they will transparently explain to me what model works for them. And we can all applaud each other to the finish line instead of trash each other because we're not getting the recognition that they are or being jealous over what they have. And from that perspective, I guess forgiveness is about you and not about the person who did you wrong. You know, it isn't... I look back at the fact that if people wouldn't have forgiven me or heard my apology when I was wrong so many months ago about jumping to conclusions and getting angry and being defensive about something that was really none of my business, had I not been given the same grace to apologize, I wouldn't be sitting right here where I am right now with some of the best friends that I've ever had who have proven time and time again that they don't care about egos and they care about loyalty and that they care about friendship and that they're willing to listen and learn and be human. And I'm grateful for that. And I think people just spend more time worrying about being embarrassed about being human. And, oh no, I can't admit that I was wrong or make a mistake. Hell, I'm going to make lots more mistakes, and I'm sure it's going to come up where I'm going to have to apologize. It happens a lot to a lot of people, including me. But why is that such a bad thing? How am I going to learn if I don't make a mistake? How am I going to learn that certain friends don't like to be called something, even in a joke? Or how am I going to learn that somebody doesn't like this kind of behavior unless they tell me it's unacceptable? And then I can do better and try to be better because of that. Why is that such a bad thing? And instead everybody goes, oh no, I'm right. But it's why? I can't wrap my brain around the concept of people being so afraid of admitting that they aren't correct. And everybody just wants to be right. And I'm not right about a lot of things. And my opinion is just as valid as somebody else's. But it's how I present it. If I act like my opinion is the only one that matters, then I've got a problem. But that problem isn't somebody else, it's me. And to me, that's not forgivable. But that means that I need to spend time working on myself and figuring out why I have to be right and why I'm miserable in my existence, that I can't listen and be compassionate and give people the same grace that I would want for myself. You know, trust is a really tough thing. And yeah, it hurts when people screw you over and fuck with you. And it makes you not want to trust anybody again. And I can completely understand that. You know, and it's hard when it makes you not want to ever let anybody else in. And then we all lose because you unfortunately miss the opportunity to get to meet new people, to get to talk to new people, to get fellowship with other like-minded people because of that. You know, and I don't know how to fix that. It's not my responsibility to fix that. My hope is that by being the best version of myself every day and trying to listen with an open mind and to try to explain to people that if you want to be a friend to me or you want to be close to me, these are the things that I expect. You know, everybody's expectations are different, you know, but I have boundaries too. And you don't assume things. You talk to people transparently, and then you call them out when it's not being met. And you give them an opportunity to go, oh, my bad, I'll fix that next time. It doesn't have to be a huge ordeal. It doesn't have to be a shit-starting drama fest. It just has to be a, I didn't know that you needed this, and now I do. And what can I do to fix that? What can I do to make sure that your needs are being met, my needs are being met, and we can all shake hands and ride off into the sunset together? And obviously that's, you know, haha. But at the same time, it's not so far-fetched that we can't create a group of people who all have the same goals and the same interests and the same ideas without all the bullshit. And try to encourage the people who have these issues, these jealousies, these insecurities, to open up and work on themselves and figure out what the problem is. Why are you feeling that way? We all have pasts. We all have issues. But that doesn't mean that we're allowed to treat other people that way. So if we invite you in to be your friend and you're feeling insecure, why is it so bad to say, I'm feeling insecure about my place in this group because I've been treated poorly? That's honest. It's not sympathy garnering or boo-hooing. It's honest. And you can say as a person, here's my boundary. I'll be happy to give you some advice about your life, your personal life. I'm not a therapist. I've never claimed to be. But you have choices to make, and there's going to be a lot of times when your friends, even in your first world, your friends will be blatantly honest with you and tell you, you go, hey, does my ass look fat in these pants? And you go, well, yeah, kinda. A real friend will tell you the truth. Not because it's what you need to hear or what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. But if they get hurt feelings because you're honest, then you can say, I'm sorry, maybe I should have said it a different way. But would you rather know the truth? Or would you rather have people lie to you the whole time and stroke your ego and yank your chain and have you believe a whole bunch of things that are false, and then have the rug pulled out from under you, and then realize that you could have never trusted them to be honest with you from the beginning? I'm sorry, but I'd rather have somebody tell me, I don't like you, I think you're an asshole, I think you think you're full of yourself. Fine. If you feel that way, great. Then you do not have to choose to be around me. You do not have to choose to have anything to do with me if you believe those things about me. And I'm sorry that people would feel that way. But I would rather have you tell me that straight up to my face than go to somebody else and go, wow, wow, wow. Because all that does is make you look like you're jealous, or make you look like you've got a problem with me for being honest or for being who I am. You don't have to like me. I don't have a problem with that. At the end of the day, the only person who has to like me is me. I have to live with me. Nobody else does. But if people want to surround themselves with me and they feel good about my friendship and I encourage them to be the best version of themselves, that speaks volumes about my character and my behavior. Because if I do one of my friends wrong, I believe they could come and tell me, hey, I'm not cool with the way you handled yourself. And I can apologize and own that to them and say, tell me how I can make it better, and tell me what I can do in the future so that we don't have that misunderstanding again. And that's how we deal with conflicts. That's how we resolve things as adults. Not sitting around screeching, bitching, whining, comparing, creating lines in the sand and throwing juice boxes on the playground. Because honestly, what kind of unhappiness is that creating for everybody around them? Because then nobody wants to be friends. Everybody wants to circle in their own little groups. And we all miss out on all the fun. We all miss out on being included. And I really think that sucks. I think it's shitty. Because there's a lot of people that I see out there on platforms that I go, they look pretty cool. But it's too bad I can't go talk to them because of all the drama and bullshit that got started months ago that I had nothing to do with. But because you're associated with, or your name was brought in, or somebody did you wrong, you get automatically assumed or blacklisted or cast out without even being given a chance. I gave everyone the same opportunity to start at zero with me, and all they did was cross step on my boundaries. And so I did what my expectation was, and I made it clear to everybody from day one. You want to fuck with me? You get one chance to come to me like an adult, and nobody did. So the next step is I ignore it. And the next step is I block it. And people were still crying and whining and boo-hoo and I got blocked, and yeah, it hurts and it sucks to be excluded. But if people came to you like a human, like an adult, and said, hey, I don't have a problem with you, at least give them the opportunity. Then I could say, well, then why are you still talking shit about somebody else? My whole point is that if people are still talking to you badly or poorly about somebody else, they're probably doing it about you too. Now, I talk a lot of praise about a lot of people to a lot of people because I like a lot of people. And when I don't have a problem with somebody and somebody comes to me and says, blah, 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 I said, listen, I don't know that person from Adam. Never had a single interaction with them. So why would I even allow somebody to talk shit to me about them? That's between them. You know, I don't appreciate people trying to start shit by going, oh, I heard so-and-so is talking shit about you. Okay. Well, you have to ask yourself why. Why are they coming to you then instead of coming directly to me? Sorry, not sorry, but that speaks a lot more about you as a go-between person who's stirring the pot, who's shaking the hornet's nest. And to me, that's not forgivable. Change your behavior, people. Own your stuff. Stay in your lane. Be good humans. Understand. Put yourself in somebody else's situation. If it were you, how would you want somebody to handle the situation if it were you? I had to ask for forgiveness. I had to ask somebody and tell them that I was wrong. I made a mistake. I misjudged. It takes balls. It takes balls to go to somebody and say, I'm sorry. It takes a lot of hard work to change behavior and make sure that you don't do it again. So maybe forgiveness is more about yourself, but forgiving yourself for being human and being allowed to make mistakes. But that's what I was thinking about today. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm open-minded enough to listen to what somebody has to say, to try to resolve a conflict like an adult, to accept an apology, to see if they can change that behavior, and maybe rebuild some trust. But I have a solid boundary. I have a solid foundation about who I am as a person. And that's not a jealous person who cares more about my standing in life than I do about encouraging other people and applauding them to the finish line. And I think that's what separates me from a lot of people. So tell me what you think. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm very, very excited to start off a new year, hopefully with some learning lessons, with unpacking grief. Until then, I hope everyone be good humans, wash your fucking hands, and I will see you all soon. Bye.